Dios amado.
Ayuda! The depth at which an earthquake nucleates, where it starts, is really important, because the deeper it happens in the earth, the more distance there is between that point and the earth's surface where we all live, for those energy waves to fade away, to die out as they move away from the source. And from the initial reports, it looks like, in the case of these two earthquakes in Venezuela, the source was relatively shallow in the Earth's tectonic plate, the layer we call the crust, by which I mean 10 to 20 kilometers, which is a bit under 10 miles to about 15 miles down in the Earth. And that's unfortunate, because it means that not only were these earthquakes very large in terms of the total amount of energy released, the so-called magnitude of the earthquake, but they weren't occurring that far down in the earth, so that a lot of the energy reached the surface in the regions above them. A single magnitude 7 event is very large, very serious when it occurs close to populated areas, and as we've discussed, it's a relatively shallow level in the earth. But what seems to have happened here is that the stress had built up on one fault, such that it slipped, it ruptured, and it produced this enormous earthquake. But the energy released and the stress transferred from that first event, I believe literally only about 40 seconds later, has probably triggered a second earthquake on a nearby fault that was close to the point where it was going to fail. But this has tipped it over the edge, so that the region has suffered not one but two destructive events in a very short space of time. It's unusual, but it's not strange. It's not out of the ordinary. Could we have predicted these earthquakes? The honest answer is no. We're not at a state in the science where we've got robust tools that will let us predict earthquakes. We can forecast the areas in which they're going to occur. So we can say a part of the world like northern Venezuela is prone to earthquakes. We can use the historical records. We can look at features in the rocks in the landscape of the area to make those claims. But that's a long way from being able to do the useful thing of predicting with accuracy when an earthquake is going to occur, where it's going to occur, and what size it's going to be. Are there going to be aftershocks? Yes, undoubtedly. Those aftershocks are typically smaller than the main shock and fade away. The initial data I've seen suggests that the earthquakes aren't going to occur on an east-west trend, and many of them will be east of those two main shocks from yesterday. Unfortunately, that does put Caracas in the firing line. There could be quite substantial earthquakes, magnitudes 5 or 6, say, that are still substantially smaller than the main events, but big enough to cause further damage and further loss of life. So I hope the people and the authorities are able to do what they can and stay vigilant over coming weeks and months, because it's going to be that kind of timescale over which these aftershocks could strike.
Son, mero van para Rosario. As you can imagine, the Secretary General is deeply saddened by the loss of life and widespread destruction caused by the devastating earthquakes that hit Venezuela. He extends his sincere condolences to the families of the victims and wishes a speedy recovery to those injured. Initial reports indicate significant destruction across several states, including the capital, Caracas. Many people have reportedly been killed and injured, while others remain trapped and are still missing. Critical infrastructure has been damaged and basic services have been disrupted. The United Nations and Venezuela and the UN system as a whole is mobilizing assistance and working closely with the government and our partners to support the response. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is facilitating the deployment of urban search and rescue teams. The Secretary General welcomes the offers of solidarity and support from member states at this critical time. The Secretary General expresses his solidarity with the people and government of Venezuela. As you know, the government has declared a state of emergency in Venezuela, and while international support is rapidly mobilizing, including incoming urban search and rescue teams from different countries, and multiple offers of assistance from across the region and beyond. Our emergency relief coordinator, Tom Fletcher, said in a statement this morning that we and our humanitarian partners are fully mobilized to support the people of Venezuela. UN agencies are mobilizing assistance and will deliver support as quickly as possible. Our humanitarian team in the country is in close contact with the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, and all other relevant national authorities in the country. A central coordination hub has been established in Caracas, with the UN supporting efforts on the ground to ensure that assistance reaches those most in need as quickly and effectively as possible. OCHA is also supporting the coordination of incoming international search and rescue teams, which we expect will arrive or start arriving in the coming hours.
Vamos acá hay una réplica. Se cayeron los tres edificios. Edificio Las Palmas, Punta Brisa. Todos los edificios se cayeron de este lado.